Admiral Jin Park stood on the bridge of the starship Defiance and watched death approach Earth. Through the giant windows, he could see thousands of alien ships spreading across space like hungry wolves. Their metal hulls gleamed in the sunlight, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built. "How many ships are out there?" Jin asked his aide. "Over 3,000, sir. Maybe 4,000. We stopped counting." Jin closed his eyes for a moment. Earth's entire space fleet had only 200 ships. They were about to fight an enemy 15 times stronger than them. The communication screen flickered to life. 3 alien faces appeared, each more terrifying than the last. The first had gray skin and 4 arms. The second looked like a giant insect with glowing eyes. The third had no solid form at all, just purple energy that shifted and moved. "Humans of Earth." The gray alien spoke with a voice like grinding metal. "I am War Commander Thax of the Vorthan Empire. We represent the Galactic Council." The insect alien clicked its mandibles. "I am Hive Queen Zis of the Nexari Federation, the energy being pulsed brighter." "I am Mindspeaker Vel of the Elthoran Collective." Jin stepped forward. "I am Admiral Jin Park of the Earth Defense Force. What do you want?" War Commander Thax's 4 hands gripped his weapons. "Your species has become a threat to galactic peace. In only 200 years, you have spread across 20 star systems. You refuse to accept our authority. You make alliances with species we have marked as inferior. You build weapons too quickly," Hive Queen Zis added. "You learn too fast. You adapt too well. This frightens the established order." Mindspeaker Vel's energy form grew darker. "We have seen your future in the mental streams. If left unchecked, humans will challenge every empire in the galaxy. This cannot be allowed." Jin felt anger rising in his chest. "So you've come to destroy us because we're successful?" "We offer you one choice," Thax said. "Surrender now. Accept client species status under Vorthan rule. Disarm your fleets. Submit to our laws. Do this and your people will live as servants, and if we refuse?" Jin asked, though he already knew the answer. All 3 aliens smiled in their own horrible ways. "Then every human dies. We will burn your worlds to ash. We will hunt your ships across the galaxy until none remain." Dr. Yu Chen stepped up beside Jin. She was Earth's best expert on alien cultures, a small woman with tired eyes who had spent years trying to build peace between species. "Please," she said. "There must be another way. Humans are not your enemy. We've helped many species already. We've shared our medical knowledge. We've stopped 3 wars between smaller empires." "That is exactly the problem," Hive Queen Zis buzzed angrily. "You disrupt the natural order. Weak species should remain weak. Strong species should rule. You teach the weak to be strong." Mindspeaker Vel's form pulsed with dark energy. "We have decided. Submit or die. You have 1 Earth day to choose." The communication ended. The bridge fell silent except for the quiet hum of machines. Jin looked at his officers. Captain Wu Kim stood at the weapons station, his face grim. Commander Na Li waited at the navigation controls. "These were good people, brave people." "They deserved better than this, sir," Captain Wu said quietly. "Our long-range sensors show more ships jumping in every hour. Soon there will be 5,000 alien vessels out there." "What are your orders, Admiral?" Dr. Yu asked. Jin looked out at the alien fleet again. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a city. Together they could crack planets. But he thought about the children playing in Earth's parks. He thought about the farms on Mars, the research stations around Jupiter, the mining colonies in the asteroid belt. Millions of humans living their lives, building their futures, dreaming their dreams. "Send a message to all human colonies," Jin said. "Tell them to prepare for war." Dr. Yu grabbed his arm. "Jin, we can't win this fight. Look at those numbers. Maybe if we negotiate." "They're not here to negotiate," Jin cut her off. "They're here to make us slaves or corpses." "I know which one I choose," Captain Wu nodded grimly. "All Earth Defense Force ships are reporting ready for battle, sir." "And the civilian evacuation?" "Moving as fast as we can. But there are billions of people on Earth alone. We need more time." Commander Na Li looked up from her station. "Sir, I'm detecting movement in the alien fleet. 3 battleships are breaking formation." On the screen, Jin watched 3 massive alien warships turn toward Luna Station, humanity's biggest spaceport orbiting the moon. The station held 50,000 people, including families of Defense Force officers. "They're not waiting for our answer," Jin realized with horror. The alien ships opened fire. Beams of pure energy lanced across space and struck Luna Station. The great wheel of metal and glass that had taken decades to build exploded in a ball of fire. 50,000 lives snuffed out in seconds. Jin watched Commander Nali's face go white. Her husband and daughter had been on that station. Nah, Jin started to say. They're all dead, she whispered. They're all dead. The alien fleet moved closer to Earth. Their message was clear. Surrender now or watch everything burn. Jin keyed the communication system to broadcast across the entire solar system. Every human ship, every colony, every outpost would hear his words. This is Admiral Jin Park to all human forces. The Galactic Council has shown us their idea of mercy. They murder civilians to make a point. They demand we kneel or die. His voice grew stronger. I say we give them a third option. We show them what happens when you threaten the human species. He looked at his officers. Ali was crying, but her hands were steady on her controls. Captain Wu had armed every weapon they had. Dr. Yu stood straight despite her fear. All ships, battle stations. Today we fight for our right to exist. The war for humanity's survival had begun. Lieutenant Hai Song crawled through the broken sewers beneath Seoul, her rifle ready and her heart pounding. Above her, alien boots thundered across the ruined streets. The Vorthan soldiers were searching for her resistance cell again. It had been 3 months since the aliens crushed Earth's space defenses. Admiral Jin Park's fleet had fought bravely, but numbers always won in the end. Most of the human ships were debris now, floating in the cold darkness around Earth. The lucky ones had escaped to hiding places in the outer system. Now the real war began. Hai pressed herself against the sewer wall as a scan beam passed overhead. The Vorthans had good technology, but they didn't understand human cities. They looked for military bases and government buildings. They didn't think about the thousands of tunnels, basements, and forgotten spaces where humans could hide. Team 7, report, Hai whispered into her radio. Position secured, came the reply from Corporal Bo Min. Alien patrol eliminated. We took their weapons, Hai smiled grimly. That made 12 alien weapons captured this week. Her people were learning fast how to use Vorthan energy rifles. The aliens built them tough and simple, perfect for humans who had to maintain equipment in dirty hideouts. She moved through the tunnel toward the meeting point. Other resistance fighters emerged from side passages like ghosts. Young faces, old faces, all marked by the same determination. The aliens had killed their families, destroyed their homes, and told them to accept slavery. These humans had a different answer. Status report, Hai said as her team gathered in an abandoned subway station. Private Jun Sik checked his equipment. The power plant sabotage worked. Half the city is dark. The aliens are using portable generators now. Good. What about the supply convoy? Hit at dawn. We destroyed 6 trucks of alien food supplies. They'll have to bring more from orbit. Engineer Min Kang looked up from the alien weapon he was modifying. Min was barely 20 but had a gift for understanding technology. He could make Vorthan rifles work twice as long, or turn Nexari communication devices into bombs. I've been studying the alien equipment we captured, Min said. They have a weakness. Their technology is very efficient, but it's not tough like ours. When you damage it, it stops working completely. Unlike human gear, which just gets uglier and keeps working, Hai said. Min grinned. Exactly. Also, I found something interesting about their biology. He pulled out a data pad showing alien anatomy. All 3 species share similar genetic markers, like they come from the same source long ago. Major Tae Lim emerged from the shadows. He was the regional resistance commander, a former Earth Defense Force officer who now coordinated attacks across half of Asia. His face was scarred from a Nexari energy blast, but his eyes were still sharp. Good work here, Hai, Tae said. But we've got bigger problems. Intelligence reports that the aliens are planning something called Deep Clean. They want to eliminate all resistance in one massive operation. When? 2 weeks. They're bringing in specialized hunter units from the Elthoran Collective. Psychic trackers who can find human minds. Hai felt a chill. The Elthoran were the worst of the 3 alien species. They could read thoughts, control minds, and track people across vast distances. If they brought enough psychic hunters to Earth, the resistance would be finished. What do we do? Junsik asked. Major Tae smiled coldly. We have friends working on that problem. Deep underground in the Himalayan mountains, Dr. So Park studied her latest test results. She was Admiral Jin Park's younger sister, a brilliant geneticist who had been studying captured alien prisoners for months. Her laboratory was carved out of solid rock, hidden from any scanner the aliens possessed. Fascinating, she murmured, as data scrolled across her screen. Her assistant, Dr. Ki Nam, looked over her shoulder. What did you find? The genetic similarity engineer Min Kang discovered goes deeper than we thought. These three species were once one species millions of years ago. They split apart but kept the same basic DNA structure. So pointed to a specific genetic sequence. They also kept the same vulnerabilities. Look at this protein chain. It's identical in all three species, and it has a fatal flaw. What kind of flaw? They can't process certain electromagnetic frequencies, specifically, the frequencies that Earth's magnetic field generates. Their ancestors evolved on a planet with a different magnetic field. When they're exposed to Earth's natural EM field for too long, their immune systems start breaking down. Dr. Ki Nam stared at the data. How long is too long? For short visits, no problem. But after 6 months of continuous exposure, they start getting sick. After a year, they die. The invasion started 4 months ago. Right. In 2 more months, every alien on Earth's surface will start developing a fatal disease. They just don't know it yet. So smiled for the first time in months. Mother Nature is on our side. Back in Seoul, Hai Song was preparing for the night's mission when her radio crackled with an encrypted message from Major Tae. All resistance cells, new intelligence. The aliens are vulnerable to Earth's natural environment. Biological warfare is being prepared. Your job is to keep them on the surface as long as possible. Hai looked at her team. They had been fighting a losing battle for months, striking and running, hiding and surviving. Now they had hope. You heard the Major, she told her fighters. Change of tactics. We're not just trying to hurt them anymore. We're trying to keep them here. Every day they stay on Earth makes them weaker. Private Jun-sik checked his rifle. How do we do that? We make leaving more dangerous than staying. We hit their shuttles, sabotage their landing pads, destroy their communication arrays, force them to send more troops down to protect what they have. Engineer Min Kang held up a modified alien grenade. I can rig these to take out their transport ships. Make them afraid to land. Do it, Hai ordered. And spread the word to all cells. The aliens think they're hunting us, but really we're hunting them. Every day they breathe Earth's air brings them closer to death. That night, Hai's team struck 3 targets simultaneously. They destroyed an alien communication post, sabotaged a Vorthon landing pad, and eliminated a Nexari patrol. Each attack was designed to force the aliens to commit more resources to holding the ground they had taken. As Hai watched alien reinforcement ships landing to replace their losses, she smiled. The invaders thought they were winning because they controlled the cities and bases. They didn't understand that Earth itself was slowly killing them. The resistance had learned an important lesson. Sometimes the best way to fight an enemy is to make them stay and fight you. The aliens were stronger than humans in space, but on Earth's surface, time was humanity's greatest weapon. Above ground, Vorthon soldiers patrolled the empty streets. Not knowing that their bodies were already beginning to fail, in the tunnels below, human fighters planned their next attacks, knowing that every day brought them closer to victory. The underground war had become a race against time. But for the first time since the invasion began, the humans were winning. Admiral Jin Park floated in the observation deck of the secret shipyard, watching humanity's revenge take shape. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he could see dozens of new warships under construction. They looked different from the old Earth Defense Force vessels. Rougher, meaner, built for a different kind of war. How many ships will be ready for the operation? Jin asked Chief Engineer Yoon Han. Yoon wiped grease from her hands. She had been working 18-hour days for 6 months, building humanity's new fleet in hidden asteroid bases far from alien eyes. 47 combat ships, sir, plus 32 support vessels. Not enough to match their numbers, but enough to hurt them badly. Jin nodded. It had taken everything they had to build this fleet. Salvaged alien technology mixed with human engineering, materials stripped from mining colonies, weapons powered by pure human anger, and the special modifications. Every ship has triple redundancy. If they blow off our weapons, we have backup weapons. If they destroy our engines, we have backup engines. If they puncture our hull, we have backup hull. Yoon grinned fiercely. These ships are built to take damage and keep fighting. That was the human way. The aliens built perfect ships that worked flawlessly until something broke them. Humans built tough ships that worked badly but never stopped working. Captain Ji Moon approached from the docking bay. She was young for a ship captain, but the war had promoted many people quickly. Too many older officers had died in the first battles. "Admiral, the crew volunteers are ready. Every ship will be fully staffed." Jin was amazed by this. These people had seen what happened to the first human fleet. They knew they were probably flying to their deaths. But volunteers kept coming anyway. What about the new tactics? Ji-moon's eyes hardened. "We've learned a lot from the resistance fighters on Earth. The aliens expect clean, honorable warfare. They're not ready for what we're going to do to them." Deep below the surface of Earth, Dr. Sopark watched her bioweapon spread through the alien occupation forces. Her laboratory had become a command center for biological warfare, monitoring the health of every alien soldier on the planet. "Infection rate is now at 70%, reported Dr. Kinam. "The Vorthons are showing symptoms first. Weakness, confusion, organ failure. What about the Nixari and Elthoran? The Nixari are getting sick too, but slower. Their hive minds help them resist the effects. The Elthoran are adapting fastest because they can modify their energy forms, but even they're weakening." So studied the medical data streaming in from resistance cells worldwide. "How long before they figure out what's happening?" "Another month, maybe 2. Their medical technology is advanced, but they've never seen anything like this. They think it's just stress from the occupation." So smiled coldly. Her brother Jin was preparing to attack the aliens in space, but she was killing them from the inside, using Earth itself as a weapon. In the ruins of Seoul, Lieutenant Hai Song noticed the change first. The Vorthon patrol she was watching moved slower than usual. Their formation was sloppy. When her resistance cell attacked, the aliens responded sluggishly, like they were thinking through thick mud. "Something's wrong with them," Private Jun Sik observed after the fight. "They used to be faster." Engineer Min Kang examined a captured alien soldier. The Vorthon's gray skin had taken on an unhealthy yellow tint. Its breathing was labored. "They're getting sick," Min realized. "All of them. I've seen this in 3 different patrol groups this week." Hai contacted Major Tae Lim immediately. "Sir, the aliens are weakening. Whatever the scientists did, it's working." "Confirmed across all regions," Tae replied. "The occupation forces are operating at maybe 60% effectiveness. Some units have stopped patrolling entirely. Does this mean we've won?" "Not yet. They still have their space fleet. If they realize what's happening, they might retreat to orbit and just bomb the planet clean." Above Earth's atmosphere, Vorthon War Commander Thax was beginning to suspect something was wrong. His ground forces were reporting higher casualty rates, equipment failures, and communication problems. The human resistance seemed to be getting stronger while his troops got weaker. "Medical Officer Vax," Thax called to his chief physician. "Explain these reports of widespread illness among our ground forces." The medical officer's forearms gestured nervously. "Unknown pathogen, Commander. Possibly a local disease that affects off-world species. I recommend rotating troops back to the fleet for treatment." "Denied. We cannot show weakness to the humans. Find a cure and deploy it." What Thax didn't know was that there was no cure. Earth's electromagnetic field was rewriting alien DNA at the cellular level. The only treatment was to leave the planet entirely. In the asteroid belt, Admiral Jin Park's fleet prepared for launch. The new ships looked like predators. Angular hulls covered in weapons, reinforced armor plating, and engines designed for ramming attacks. They carried names like Vengeance, Retribution, and Human Fury. "All ships report ready," Captain Ji-moon announced from the bridge of her destroyer. "The payback." Jin opened a fleet-wide communication channel. "Attention all ships. For 9 months the aliens have occupied our world. They've killed our families, destroyed our homes, and demanded our surrender. Today we show them the price of threatening humanity." On the main screen, Earth appeared as a blue marble surrounded by alien ships. Those ships had seemed invincible 9 months ago. Now they looked like targets. "Remember your training. We don't fight fair. We don't fight clean. We fight to win. If your ship is dying, ram the nearest alien vessel. If your weapons are damaged, use your ship as a weapon. Show them why it was a mistake to anger the human race." The fleet moved toward Earth. Unlike the aliens' precise formations, the human ships spread out chaotically, approaching from dozens of different directions. Some ships accelerated to ramming speed. Others hung back to provide covering fire. There was no grand strategy, just 47 different captains doing whatever damage they could. Captain Ji-moon's ship reached the alien fleet first. The payback opened fire with every weapon it had, targeting a massive Nexari battleship. The alien vessel's shields absorbed most of the damage, but human weapons had been designed for persistence. They kept firing, kept hitting the same spot, wearing down defenses through sheer stubborn determination. When the Nexari ship finally returned fire, the payback's armor cracked and its weapons failed. A traditional navy would have retreated. Instead, Ji-Moon ordered full ramming speed. "All hands, brace for impact," she shouted as her ship drove directly into the alien battleship's hull. The collision tore both ships apart, but the human crew had ejected in escape pods first. The aliens, caught by surprise, died with their ship. Across the battle zone, similar scenes played out. Human ships that should have been destroyed kept fighting. Captains who should have surrendered rammed their vessels into alien hulls. The precisely choreographed alien fleet found itself overwhelmed by chaos. War Commander Thax watched in horror as his superior force was torn apart by inferior ships that refused to die properly. "What are these humans doing? This isn't warfare, it's madness." His aide officer trembled with fear. "Sir, we're receiving reports from the fleet. The humans are targeting our command ship specifically. They're not trying to win a battle. They're trying to eliminate our leadership." That's when Thax realized the truth. This wasn't a desperate last stand. It was a carefully planned assassination mission. The humans had studied alien tactics, identified weaknesses, and built their entire strategy around causing maximum chaos. By the time the battle ended, 30% of the alien fleet was destroyed or disabled. The human attack fleet was gone too, but they had accomplished their mission. The aliens' overwhelming advantage in space had been cut down to manageable levels. On Earth's surface, resistance fighters watched alien shuttles evacuating sick troops back to orbit. The bioweapon was forcing the occupation army to retreat, leaving only skeleton crews to hold key positions. For the first time since the invasion began, humans were winning. The tide had turned, and the galaxy's great powers were learning why it was dangerous to threaten Earth. Admiral Jin Park's revenge was just beginning. The alien leaders thought they were watching humanity's final desperate attack. War Commander Thax of the Vorthans, Hive Queen Zis of the Nexari, and Mindspeaker Vel of the Eltheron gathered on the command ship Eternal Victory to watch Earth burn. They had brought planet-killer weapons to end the human problem once and for all. "Prepare the orbital bombardment array," Thax commanded. "If we cannot rule these humans, we will erase them." That's when Admiral Jin Park's voice came through every communication channel in the galaxy. "Attention all alien fleets, governments and military installations. This is Admiral Jin Park of the Human Defense Force. For 10 months you have watched what you believed was humanity's desperate struggle for survival. You were wrong." On screens across 12 star systems, Jin's face appeared. Behind him stood Dr. Yu Chen, now wearing the uniform of Earth's intelligence director. "Everything you have seen was a carefully planned intelligence operation. Every attack we endured, every technology you revealed, every tactical decision you made was recorded and analyzed. We have studied your weaknesses, mapped your supply lines, and identified your critical vulnerabilities." Hive Queen Zis's compound eyes widened in disbelief. "Impossible. We crushed their fleet. We occupied their world." "You allowed us to study your ships at close range," Jin continued. "You deployed your best troops where we could examine their equipment. You revealed your command structure, your communication protocols, and your strategic thinking. We have learned everything we need to know." Dr. Yu Chen stepped forward. "The bioweapon affecting your ground forces was not a desperate last resort. It was a test. We wanted to understand your biology, your medical capabilities, and your response to biological threats. Now we know." Across the galaxy, human ships began appearing from hyperspace, not the rough, jury-rigged vessels from Earth's defense, but sleek new warships built in secret facilities throughout human space. The Resistance had never been losing. They had been preparing. Commander Han Zhou led the first wave from her flagship, the New Soul. She had spent 6 months in hiding, not running from aliens but studying captured alien technology. Her engineers had reverse-engineered Vorthan shields, improved Nexari weapons, and learned to jam Elthoran's psychic communications. "Target the Vorthan Military Academy on Thexis Prime," Han commanded. "Show them what human engineering can do to their best defenses." The New Soul dropped out of hyperspace directly above the most heavily defended world in Vorthan space. The planetary shields that had never been breached in 1,000 years lasted exactly 4 minutes against human weapons designed specifically to counter them. Similar attacks erupted across alien space. Captain Dong Hyun struck the Nexari research stations where they developed new technologies. Major Yu Na led marine assaults against Elthorn command centers. Every target had been chosen through months of careful intelligence gathering. But the most devastating attack came from an unexpected source. Engineer Min Kang, the young genius who had been modifying alien weapons in Seoul's sewers, appeared on communication screens throughout the galaxy. Behind him was a massive industrial complex that clearly wasn't on Earth. "Hello, alien friends," Min said with a dangerous smile. "Remember me? I'm the primitive human who's been playing with your technology. Want to see what I learned?" He gestured to the factory behind him. "This is Industrial Complex 7, built inside an asteroid in the Tau Ceti system. We've been mass-producing improved versions of your weapons for the past 8 months. Better energy efficiency, stronger materials, more reliable operation. Everything you make, we make better." The implications hit the alien leaders like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just been surviving. They had been building an entire military-industrial complex in secret. "But that's not the best part," Min continued. "The best part is how we're powering these factories." The screen showed mining operations throughout human space, harvesting rare elements that alien technology required. The same elements the alien empires needed for their own weapons and ships. Turns out, those primitive human colonies you ignored were sitting on 60% of the galaxy's strategic mineral deposits. We've been mining them for months while you focused on Earth. By our calculations, you have about 6 months of reserves left before your technology stops working. War Commander Thax felt something he had never experienced before. Panic. "They've cut off our supply lines. Without those minerals, our ships, our weapons, our life support systems will stop functioning," Dr. Yu Chen confirmed, her voice carrying across the galaxy. "We control the resources you need to survive. We understand your technology better than you do, and we have advantages you can't match." She paused to let that sink in. "Unlike your species, humans don't have a rigid command structure that collapses when you eliminate the leaders. Every human ship captain can make independent decisions. Every human colony can sustain itself without outside support. Every human soldier fights not just for orders, but for family and freedom." Mindspeaker Vel tried to use psychic powers to influence the human commanders, but found their minds protected by some kind of mental shielding. "How are they blocking our telepathy?" "Dr. So Park's bioweapon did more than make you sick," Admiral Jin explained. "It also taught us how your psychic abilities work. We've developed countermeasures." Dr. So Park appeared on another screen, speaking from her laboratory deep beneath Earth. "The same electromagnetic fields that were killing your ground troops also disrupt telepathic connections. We can turn any planet into a psychic dead zone." The alien leaders realized they had been outmaneuvered in every possible way. Their technological advantages were gone. Their resource supplies were cut off. Their psychic powers were neutralized. Their superior numbers meant nothing when humans could strike anywhere in the galaxy simultaneously. "What do you want?" Hive Queen Zis asked, her voice filled with defeat. "Total surrender," Admiral Jin said simply. "Immediate withdrawal of all alien forces from human space. Dismantling of your military fleets. Submission to human authority for war crimes trials. And if we refuse, then we demonstrate the difference between an invasion and an extermination." Commander Hanzhou's voice came through the communication system. "Alien fleets, you have 1 hour to surrender. Any ship that does not stand down will be destroyed. Any world that resists will be occupied." "We are not here to negotiate." The 3 alien leaders looked at each other in horror. In less than a year, they had gone from conquering humanity to being completely at human mercy. The species they had dismissed as primitive had outfought, outthought, and outprepared them in every way. "How?" War Commander Thax whispered. "How did you do this?" Admiral Jin's expression was cold as space itself. "You made the mistake of threatening our families. Humans will tolerate many things, but we will never accept the destruction of our children's future. When you forced us to choose between submission and survival, you created an enemy that will never stop, never quit, and never forgive." He leaned forward. "You wanted to see human aggression? You wanted to understand why we adapt so quickly? It's because we fight not just for ourselves, but for every generation that will come after us. We don't just want to win this war. We want to make sure no one ever threatens humanity again." The screen showed human fleets surrounding every major alien world. Millions of ships crewed by billions of humans who had spent months preparing for this moment. The galaxy's former masters were surrounded, outnumbered, and completely outmatched. "You have 1 hour," Admiral Jin repeated. "Surrender now, or discover what happens when humans stop holding back." Across the galaxy, alien commanders began transmitting surrender signals. The great empires that had ruled for millennia were submitting to a species that had reached the stars less than 3 centuries ago. Humanity had been unleashed, and the galaxy would never be the same. 1 year after the failed invasion of Earth, Admiral Jin Park stood in the Great Assembly Hall on the former Galactic Council homeworld. The massive chamber had once held the rulers of 3 empires who commanded the fate of hundreds of species. Now it was filled with representatives from every world in the galaxy, meeting as equals for the first time in history. The 3 former alien leaders sat in simple chairs, no longer on elevated thrones. War Commander Thax of the Vorthans looked older, his gray skin pale from months of treatment for the bioweapons effects. Hive Queen Zis of the Nexari seemed smaller without her royal regalia, just another insect among thousands. Mind Speaker Vel of the Eltheron flickered weakly, his energy form diminished. "The trial phase is complete," President Mijang announced from the speaker's podium. She had been elected as Earth's leader during the war, and now served as the interim head of the new galactic government. The former Galactic Council has been found guilty of crimes against sapient life, including attempted genocide, forced enslavement of client species, and the systematic oppression of developing civilizations. A murmur went through the assembly. Representatives from dozens of species that had suffered under the old regime watched as their former oppressors faced justice. However, President Mijang continued, "The human delegation has requested mercy for the defendants." This caused an uproar. Many aliens couldn't understand why humans would spare the leaders who had tried to exterminate them. Dr. So Park rose from her seat in the medical section. She had spent the last year developing treatments for the bioweapons effects, saving the lives of thousands of former enemies. "The punishment for these crimes should be service, not death. The defendants will spend the rest of their lives working to repair the damage they caused." War Commander Thax looked up in surprise. "You would spare us? After what we tried to do? Killing you would make us like you." Dr. So replied simply, "Humans don't conquer species. We liberate them." Admiral Jin stepped forward to address the assembly. The old galactic order was based on fear and domination. Strong species ruled over weak ones. Military might determined who had rights and who had none. This system created the conditions that led to war. He gestured to the diverse crowd of beings filling the chamber. "Today we establish a new system. The Galactic Federation will be a democracy where every species has a voice, regardless of their military power or technological advancement. No one will have the right to threaten another with extinction." The formal vote was overwhelming. 734 species voted to join the new federation. Only 12 chose to remain independent, and they were allowed to do so without penalty. But the most important changes were happening quietly, far from the political ceremonies. On the former Vorthan capital world, General Un Yu was establishing the Galactic Peace Corps. The headquarters building had once housed the Vorthan Military Academy, where officers learned to conquer other species. Now it trained peacekeepers from dozens of worlds. "Remember," General Yoon told a class of mixed human and alien cadets, "our job is not to enforce human rule. Our job is to prevent any species from imposing their will on others through force." One of the cadets, a young Nexari who had grown up under the old caste system, raised a claw. "General, what if a species attacks the peacekeepers?" "Do we fight back?" "We defend ourselves and protect others," Yoon replied. "But we never fight for conquest or revenge. Every action we take must serve the cause of peace." The cadet looked confused. "Then how do we show strength?" General Yoon smiled. "True strength is having the power to destroy your enemies and choosing not to. True strength is helping your former enemies rebuild their worlds. True strength is teaching your children that all sapient life has value." Across the galaxy, similar changes were taking place. Captain Wu Kim, now promoted to admiral, oversaw the conversion of military installations into schools and hospitals. Former weapons factories were retooled to produce medical equipment and agricultural machinery. Warships were modified to carry relief supplies to worlds damaged by the old regime. The process wasn't always smooth. Some species resented human leadership, even though it came with unprecedented freedom. Others struggled to adapt to democratic decision-making after centuries of authoritarian rule. But gradually, the galaxy began to heal. Dr. Yu Chen established the Interspecies Cultural Exchange Program, bringing together beings who had never been allowed to interact under the old system. Scientists shared research freely. Artists collaborated on works that celebrated diversity rather than promoting racial superiority. Children from different species played together in integrated schools. The former Galactic Council leaders served their sentences by helping to build the new order. War Commander Thax used his military knowledge to design defensive systems that protected vulnerable worlds. Hive Queen Zis applied her organizational skills to coordinate relief efforts for species displaced by past conflicts. Mindspeaker Vel taught former enemies how to communicate across species barriers without domination or manipulation. Engineer Min Kang, now head of the Galactic Technology Sharing Initiative, made sure that advanced technology was available to all species, not hoarded by the powerful few. Knowledge belongs to everyone, he would say. The moment you try to keep others ignorant, you become the villain. Lieutenant Haisong, former resistance fighter, became the first human ambassador to the Outer Rim territories where dozens of species had lived in fear of the great empires. She found civilizations that had hidden their capabilities for centuries, afraid that success would make them targets for conquest. You don't have to hide anymore, Hai told them. Build your ships, develop your technology, explore the stars. The only law now is that you cannot use your advancement to hurt others. 5 years after the war ended, Admiral Jin Park returned to Earth for the anniversary commemoration. He stood in the same place where he had watched alien fleets surround his world. But now the space around Earth was filled with ships from hundreds of species. They came not as conquerors or supplicants, but as allies and friends. Captain Wu Kim, now an old man with gray hair, joined him at the observation deck. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Wu asked, showing mercy to our enemies. Jin considered the question. Below them, Earth's surface showed the scars of war, but also signs of renewal. Cities rebuilt with alien technology, farms that grew crops from dozens of worlds, schools where human children learned alongside young beings of every species imaginable. "Look at what we built," Jin said. "A galaxy where my granddaughter can travel to any world without fear, where species work together instead of plotting against each other, where the strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them." He pointed to a group of children playing in a park below. Humans, Vorthons, Nixari, and Eltheron young ones running together, their differences forgotten in the simple joy of play. "The old empires ruled through fear," Jin continued. "They lasted thousands of years, but never created anything beautiful. We've had peace for 5 years, and already the galaxy is a better place. But what if someone challenges us? What if a new species emerges that doesn't accept our ideals?" Jin smiled. "Then we'll face that challenge the same way we faced the Galactic Council. Not with conquest or domination, but by showing them a better way to live." On the communication screen, a message appeared from the edge of known space. Long-range sensors had detected signals from a previously unknown civilization, potentially hostile and certainly advanced. "Looks like we'll get to test that philosophy sooner than expected," Wu observed. Jin nodded calmly. "Send them our standard first contact package. Offer trade, cultural exchange, and mutual assistance. If they choose peace, welcome them to the Federation. If they choose war, we show them why it was a mistake to threaten the free peoples of the galaxy," Wu finished. The two old soldiers watched the sunset over Earth, knowing that somewhere among the stars, their children and grandchildren were exploring new worlds, meeting new species, and spreading the simple but revolutionary idea that all sapient life deserved freedom. The galaxy had learned what happened when every alien stood against humanity. Earth's revenge had indeed shaken the galaxy, not through destruction, but through the radical act of choosing mercy over vengeance and building something better from the ashes of the old order. Humanity had won the war by refusing to become the monster their enemies expected them to be, and in doing so, they had given every species in the galaxy something they had never had before: hope for a future where strength served justice, where diversity was celebrated, and where the strong existed to protect the weak rather than exploit them. The age of empires was over. The age of freedom had begun.